The last kind of contextual kind of framing for what we're trying to do is this notion that school administrators are not God. This may come as a shock to some of you, particularly those who think you are God. God is actually short for Game Overall Director. But school administrators are servant leaders for the community and for the school. Their job is to protect the boundary between the school, protect the staff from the stuff that goes on, is to challenge the staff and the community to imagine what's possible and enable that as much as they can. It's to fight for resources, but is to partner with every employee in that school, whether they're professional teachers, whether they're support staff, or whether they're teacher aides or providing some other role in that school, is to create an ambience and an environment and a culture that enables and permits and encourages performance. So here's the framework for what we're working with the schools on. And this was developed collaboratively between the participants in this project. It didn't come from me or anybody else. This is how we decided to talk about our work. The first is stop believing our own bullshit. It's a technical term. If you're in graduate school, somebody will explain the meaning to this to you. But actually do an honest self-assessment of the school. Where are you really at? The second task, which is still part of this same work, is to go out from the school and ask other people what they think of the school. And I'm thinking here of people like alumni. The third stage of this process of asking how well are we doing is to do peer exchange and peer review. Now there's some sensitivity about the language here, but just let me tell you what I'm thinking about, which is asking other teachers how they look at the work that you're doing in the school, either through communities of practice, sharing best practice across several schools, or physically inviting them in to take a look at the kind of work that's being done. It's not inspection, it's not summative evaluation, it's about professionals helping professionals see what else they can do to be better. The next stage is to build a meaningful, peer group built school development plan. School development plans, in many cases that we've encountered, were written by the principal, sent to the office and forgotten about. So they're actually, A, they're not plans, and B, they're meaningless. People are held accountable for them, but nobody owns them. Isn't that strange? So the suggestion is that the whole school should be engaged in the development of a plan that seeks to develop the whole child. Now, one of the mistakes that's been made in some early examples of this, particularly in the UK, was the school development plan was 116 pages and contained 1,000 objectives. This is another example of this technical term, bullshit. Less is more. Less is more. So a really good school development plan, a school improvement plan, focuses on 3 or 4 things that matter. Now, there's a whole body of theory around emotional intelligence, and in the work we did at a particular school in Grand Prairie, the staff looked at this long list of opportunities for what they want to focus on and chose a couple of things that matter to them. And they're working on how that will be built into their school development plan. So, you know, we could have 25 objectives under emotional intelligence, which is a guarantee that nothing will happen. Focusing on 1 or 2 where you intend to make a difference in the next 24 months is likely to happen. So less is more. I'm positioning this as the last thing, is then to say, so what's the evidence we have that this plan is actually working? Some of this may be data that you collect, like some of the provincial data you're currently required to collect. Most of it won't be. Most of it might be soft data. Teacher assessment, for example, is just as reliable and just as predictive as formal assessments done under a very rigorous scheme of standardized testing. Imagine having spent your career building an accountability pillar that leads you to be second in the world and then being asked to give it up. It's not going to happen. So this is where the ATA as a body becomes important, because if you're serious about saying enough's enough, let's think about this differently, but let's not rush to it, let's work together to do this, then these pilot projects and other projects like them that you need to engage in will be the vehicle by which we have a right to say, we can see a different way of doing this. This is your time to do something about this because it matters. And who does it matter for? It matters for you. But more importantly, it matters for those kids that we're working with right now. because Alberta and Canada is challenged about its future. The long term is about changing the nature of the skills available to us and changing the focus of our economic activity. And we will not do that if the only things we focus upon are those things we're currently held accountable for. So I think it's time to change. And I think you're the people to do it.